God?
Hey guys, this week's topic is religious parents, of which I have none. Both my parents are basically atheists, so they don't really believe in God. They pretty much raised me with those beliefs. I recall as a young child having a very intense, overwhelming fear of death and sitting on top of a hill and asking my father, I've never called him father, Dad, what happens when you die? And him telling me that, reassuring me that it's okay, you will be in the ground and your body will rot and there will be endless nothingness. And I remember feeling utterly haunted by that concept. And possibly that's what led me to pursue studies in religion in my undergraduate. I studied monotheism, with a focus on monotheism, Islam, Judaism, early Christianity. I was very interested in those studies and Western esoteric thought, so I actually ended up going to Jerusalem at some point in my study to study at Hebrew University to study Jewish mysticism. So there's something that you probably wouldn't know about me. So I'm not Jewish. I'm not Jewish culturally or Jewish religiously, but I have a great interest in the birth of the religion and early Christianity and Gnosticism and all of these topics, all of which is totally beside the point, because what we're talking about today is, I'm assuming, how religion and your religious parents have influenced your transition and have affected it or restricted it or embraced it or whatever it is. So, whilst I have nothing to say on an insightful personal perspective, because my parents' atheism had no real impact on my transition, except for the fact that it didn't have an impact, so in that sense, I suppose that aspect was easier for me because there was no religious influence, be it good or bad. It just wasn't a factor. There was other factors that I think affected my parents' ability to cope with the idea of me transitioning. Religion wasn't one of them. So anyway, I thought perhaps in the absence of being able to give that insight, and that you can possibly just look to other guys on It's Tea Time who probably have personal insight into religious parents, I could at least give a little bit of a broader perspective, because I think often in this YouTube trans community, there's a real underrepresentation of people from diverse religious and cultural backgrounds. It seems like the majority of people making videos are from North America, and many of them are white guys. There's a real lack of representation from people from Muslim or Jewish or any other religious backgrounds, because obviously in America the predominant religion is Christianity. So I'm assuming that most of the people who will have insight into this topic will be from a Christian background. Not to say that that isn't useful and interesting, and that it probably will help more people because there's more people watching from that background. But I just think it's good to remember that certainly in terms of resource provision for trans guys and stuff like that, there are people with varying needs and who come from they come with different kind of cultural baggage, so to speak. So, for example, I was contacted through YouTube from the videos that I was making on my personal channel by three different Sikh guys. Sikhism, if you don't know, it's a religion from northern India, from a region called Punjab. It's sort of grew out of Islam and a mixture between Islam and the prophets of Sikhism. You'll probably know, like, Sikh men wear their hair, grow their hair very long. They don't cut their hair, and they wear it in a turban. So if you see turbans, it's often that would be a Sikh guy. In India, there is a real there's a massive lack of understanding about female to male transsexuals. I think there's just a general, it just doesn't happen very often. I think there's no services for trans guys really, although I've been told by my Sikh friend that India has actually got quite a good, medical system, and some very, some of the smartest minds in the world come from India, Nobel Prize winners, etc. So there are some very clever, probably, surgeons in India, but traditionally, culturally, it's frowned upon. Homosexuality is even more frowned upon, and I think you'd be aware, some of you, that in India there is male to female transsexuals. There are castes, in fact, and so there are some kind of there are things in place, and some kind of awareness of transsexuality through them, but in terms of female to male, it's just unheard of. It's because also of the role of women in Indian society, I think. I can't, obviously I'm a middle class white guy from Australia, from Sydney. I have a limited knowledge and understanding of what these people go through, but I think, in a sense, because of their religious restrictions and the cultural milieu, they don't go on YouTube and they don't make videos, and so their voices aren't heard. And this is similar with Islamic trans guys. There is a guy on YouTube somewhere making videos from Iran. I subscribed to him a while ago, and I just found it so interesting. He doesn't show his face, but that story in Iran, it's quite interesting because the state actually supports transition medically. I think it's actually got a lot to do with the fact that homosexuality is so frowned upon that they would prefer you to be transsexual than homosexual. So they often push people who, I've heard of this happening, that they push people who have homosexual feelings to actually transition so that they're in an opposite sex relationship, which is interesting. Have a look into that if you're interested. But so in that sense, religion plays a interestingly different role in terms of transition. It's a bit unexpected. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of touch on the fact that, for, say, example, these Sikh guys, there's a real sense, I think, of shame in their family, that they feel ashamed of their son. One of my friends is, he's so afraid of his parents finding out, and they're over in India whilst he's in Australia, but he's so afraid of them finding out that he just recently returned to India to say goodbye to them, before possibly not seeing them for a few years. He's going to go back and surprise them after his transition, because he's so afraid that if he tells them that he wants to transition, that they will try and stop him and forbid him, and not let him leave to come back to Australia. So he's pursuing that, and speaking to him, he's quite religious, actually, and he the first time that I met him, he said, I thank God for bringing you into my life, because I can see now that this is what I want to do, and this is what I need to do, and you make me feel like it's possible. And he said to me that he feels that that God, that basically that this is his true path, and that God can only reward you for following your true path. And that's why all of these things have come into his life, because it's the right thing for him to do. So yeah, I think. And my other friend, he lives with his parents, and he's fully transitioned. But in a traditional Indian family, for example, you are supposed to, you often have an arranged marriage situation, and his father won't marry him off, or try and set up an arranged marriage, because he feels like it's too much of an imposition, or too much of a thing to ask of another family to marry their daughter to him. So it's a sort of, those things can be very sad and painful to hear and from your family, and it is, certainly has a religious, cultural mixture of factors going on there. But so look, I'm not a world authority on any of this, but I just thought to put in the mix some kind of religious diversity and how it can affect people's lives. And I just wanted to say to any of you out there who are facing the prospect of coming out to religious parents, that I think it's really a good thing to highlight the positive um, the positive ideas within any religion, which are compassion, and acceptance and love and truth and all of those sort of things, to kind of highlight those ideals within your religion, because they exist in all religions. Is, you know, the idea of being true, your true self, and that God wants you to fulfill that inner truth, and that, you know, that your parents should love you for who you are, and that is who you really are. So you can use those kind of words, I think, to frame your story to them when you come out, and then hopefully that it might help a little bit. I think in any kind of coming out scenario, it's good to remain open and sympathetic in the first instance, and not be too hostile. I guess there's, you know, possible that for many people that they will be disowned, or that their parents won't understand or accept them, and it's an incredibly difficult thing to experience, especially during a time when you're feeling so, you know, like you're facing so much change personally, and to not have that support of your family would be incredibly difficult. I know that the support of my mother was pivotal and very helpful to me, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think it's really important for people who don't have that family support to seek support from the community. So if you're in that sort of situation and you're facing, you know, your parents aren't approving, and you know that you need to do this for your own personal happiness, then really it's really important for you to seek out support within your community, whether it be, if you're in a remote area, whether it be online, you know, chatting to guys, or, you know, engaging in YouTube videos, or whether it be going to meetings. Meeting people in person is really helpful. So I strongly urge you to do that. Plus, you might meet other guys who have come out to their religious parents, and who have some insight that they can bring and support that they can provide to you. So you're not alone. I'm sure there are, you know, I know there are many guys out there facing this, and they get through it. And, you know, it may take a long time for their parents to come on board, but usually, eventually, the desire to love and give to their child trumps their hatred and fear of difference. Okay, peace. Hope you guys are well.